Photography. It's an activity a lot of people love, and there's good reasons for it. Many reasons, in fact. I'm more into photos, but video recording is going to be a little bit new for me. I've kind of came up with a different approach, which I kind of tested on one little video, and I kind of like the concept. So we'll see how this works when we get to that point again. One reason why I enjoy photography, it captures moments of enjoyment, and I work a lot on computers. So with a 10 screen setup, each changing pictures every hour or so, it may vary. I sometimes increase it or decrease it. And I enjoy the quality and as much details as my monitor can give. I started taking pictures with a Sony 1 megapixels, then went to a Kodak 2 megapixels, and I think another one at 4. Then iPhone came out, and so I had the iPhone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, and I 8. And in fact, a lot of these pictures I have taken were with the iPhone 11, and my wife was taking them. And I think I had the iPhone 12 roughly at the same time. There's a few pictures I've taken with my Nikon D800. So, there is a couple issues that come up when you are into photography, and this is what I think I'm going to hopefully address for myself. It's for myself, but I think it might benefit others who are considering the same thing. I'm not into printing so much, though I love the idea of canvas printing, but it's not in my budget at this time. As you're probably aware, I got hold of a new phone. I upgraded my iPhone 12, which I still have, to the iPhone 17 Pro Max. 48 megapixels. I'm not into editing as much. I try to take the picture as good as I can at the time. And when you're taking hundreds and hundreds of pictures, it can be time consuming to come home and have to go editing every one. So I prefer to take 3 or 4 shots and keep one and delete the rest. With the iPhone 17, the approach is going to have to be a little bit different. One nice thing about photography, it's a healthy habit. Yeah, healthy. Because you're looking for good pictures. So off you go into the mountains, hiking to all the beautiful places, exploring. It's certainly better than being a couch potato. Don't you agree? But there is some cons to it. Seems like there's nothing you do that there isn't a pro or a con. Well, I have taken steps to reduce some of the cons and still in the process of improving on it. And I have kind of indicated some of the steps I have taken. And one of the cons for photography is digital storage. For photos, storage is a lesser issue, but if you're into high quality, which I am, for pictures that is, yeah, you get good size, 64 megabits or whatever. For video, well, that is a big issue. I mean, the march for digital storage just increases because now you have Apple ProRes, RAW, HQ, 422, 422 LT, and who knows how many more will come out. My understanding, the Apple ProRes RAW 422 proxy is probably the one that creates the smallest file. You need a magnifying glass, I think, to see the difference, if you want to compare it to the ProRes RAW HQ. So we could avoid a lot of those formats. And of course, the default is the H.265, which is more than adequate. Then you have the bit rates, 54, 36, 27, 19. Well, the higher the bit rates, the larger the file. So, you're going to see much difference between 36 and 54? No. I'll have to experiment to find out. And I'll be looking at my storage, but I probably will start off with 36 and then see how that works. Then you have the 720, the HD, and 4K. Myself, I like to go 4K 60 frames per second. And it's not an issue when I'm not going to keep the video. For example, for YouTube content, you upload it, don't need it anymore, delete it. So that's one way to minimize your storage. And if I do keep video clips, it'll probably be a 5 or 10-second clip, and I'm going to merge it with a high quality photo. Then we have OpenGate. Nice feature. You can basically capture everything that your sensor sees, and then you can do a cut to the section that you want. Then we could add another aspect, color space. Apolog, HDR, Apolog 2, HDR. Now, to use these features, you now need an SSD drive MagSafe to your phone. We're talking about large files. And forget about editing on your phone. You'll need programs like Final Cut Pro, fortunately it's a one-time purchase. DaVinci Resolve, which I believe has a free version that would suffice for most with an option to upgrade. I don't know what you get, but I wouldn't want to do that. And forget about subscriptions. I won't even look at them or even try them. Forget it. Unless you plan to mortgage your life. So, is there a workable solution? If you don't make a living creating commercial videos or posting high quality content, perhaps you're a professional photographer that's providing teaching courses, you have no choice. You have to show your skills. So yeah, if you're in that category, then prepare to buy lots of SSD drives, Thunderbolt 5 and higher. And another thing, if you don't want to use software and spend time editing all your photos or videos and have to deal with all those professional settings and crazy file size that you need a magnifier to see the differences, then there is a solution. There's a way of reducing your storage requirements and iCloud storage. We started this years ago when it first came out. We're talking in the 1990s. Or, no, I'm going not that far back. We have 2 terabytes. Over time, as we create our own backup system, we reduced to 200 gigabytes. And now we just have the free 5 gigabytes. I had videos showing how we accomplished that. If you're like me, we need a fix. And this is the approach that I took. Hopefully it works for you. Basically, you let your iPhone smarts do the work for you. You can get quality photos and videos. It's a matter of letting your iPhone do the work. But we need to tell it what we want. So there's going to be a training. You got to train your iPhone initially, and you got to learn from it and train yourself. Using the Apple camera, phone will work. That too will have to be initially set up. And how you set it up for default and how you give control to your phone when you don't like it or you think you have a better widget. So initially, we're going to probably allow the iPhone to make the selections. And as we progress, we can allow it or disallow it and take control of the choices that we feel would improve. Once we have the camera set up, then we have to set up the camera app. I'm going to show how I set up my camera settings on the iPhone initially. And of course, as I use various modes and I get to know what my iPhone camera is doing, and if I can do better, then I'll take control by disallowing the default settings. So one will need to humble themselves because you're going to make a lot of mistakes. I need to train myself and the iPhone in order to make the right choices. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the iPhone settings and go to camera and go in the order that it appears on the screen, the settings that I initially started off. And I'm going to point out the areas where you may want to let the phone default and where you don't want to, because you may have already in your mind what you want and don't want in some scenarios. Okay, I launched my iPhone 17 Pro Max so that it shows up on my MacBook Pro 16-inch. And some of the apps that I kind of use a lot, I try to keep it on one page. So first thing I got to do is go to settings. And got to go back to camera, I think it is. There you go. So the very first setting is camera control. And then camera. This is where all your camera apps will show up. I happen to have Blackmagic, it recognized it, and Pro Camera. And for some reason, Final Cut Cam is not on there, but anyways. Basically, what I'm doing here is when I hit the camera control button or action button, whatever I decide, it will launch my camera app. Okay. I got it set by default single click. Required screen on. And the reason for that, it depends on your case. In my particular case, my button is recessed a little bit, so I got to put my finger in there. It's a temporary case I got until I figure out the ND filter, the variable ND filter setup. So requires screen on. It reduces the chance of turning on the camera or launching a camera and who knows recording when it's in your pocket. Okay. And then camera adjustments, it allows you to play with the camera control and make various changes. So that's basically it. Light press, you have to kind of decide. And I don't want to touch my exposure or my depth using the button because I may end up accidentally doing things I don't want to do. You got big fingers, you never know. So basically, zoom is about the only thing I could see myself using it initially. This could change as your needs. Maybe you need tone control, who knows. Clean preview I turn off because I want to make adjustments in the camera itself. So that's it for that one. Lock focus and exposure, I put that by default. I leave it on. Lightly press and hold. Then continue touching camera control to maintain focus and exposure. So when there's a particular spot on your picture, you can do it. For accessibility, I basically left everything at default. There's a lot of stuff you probably never will use, but you can leave it on default. So that's camera control. Photographic style, I leave it neutral. You may find if your picture taking is mostly people, yeah, you may want to maybe warm up the skin tones a little bit and set it up. For me, it's scenery, landscape scenery. That's what I like, and neutral usually works most of the time. And hopefully with the variable ND filter, I can take care of some of the overexposures. Okay, record video by default. The reason why I like the 4K and 60 frames per second, it kind of gives you a motion, a little bit slower motion, especially when you're scanning the sky, the scenery. It's if you're into actions, then of course you'll need to select a different frames per second. But in my case, this would be my default. I'm not making videos for television in Europe or whatever other country. Enhance stabilization. Leave by default. I've heard people say, well, if you turn this on, your quality of your picture may be degraded a bit. I'm sure that's the case, and you may see that with a magnifying glass. We are not a very stable creature. Our hands move no matter, you breathe or whatever. So, yeah, I'll leave it on. Again, I'm not into action. Action mode will decrease the stabilization to optimize for less bright scenes. So, yeah. HDR video. There's an argument about this. Basically, it has to do with Dolby. If you're not using Dolby Vision, then I guess you don't need HDR video. and you may have difficulties depending if you're sharing this video. The computer may not be capable of displaying it. There's a lot of arguments about it. I would start by turning it off. If it becomes a problem, we can turn it on later. And again, turning it on, you're going to be recording in 10-bit high dynamic range, so no doubt it will increase the size of your file. Auto frame per second, I have 30 and 60. Those are two that I would use. Lock white balance. I would start with it on, but if you find you don't like the whites, you can kind of set it up yourself and lock it in the actual application. So by default, I leave it because it only locks in when you start recording. So you can make some changes, and then when you start recording, it will lock. It won't accidentally move. Okay, that should work. So that's record video. I'm not into record slow-mo, so by default I do 4K by 120. I just leave it. I'm not into cinematic, so by default 4K 30. These things can be changed when you're into those modes. Record sound, yeah. I initially had stereo, but what's nice about spatial audio, it uses whatever mics you have plugged in, your phone, remote mic, whatever. And I guess it will kind of create a 3D audio format. Give it a try. If you don't like it, then switch to stereo. Wind noise, I definitely turn that on because I'm outside mostly taking those pictures. There's going to be wind noise. Allow audio playback. I guess if you're recording sound effects or something, I don't know. I guess it'd be a problem if you've got maybe iTunes or something running. But anyways, I just leave it by default. I have not come across any difficulties, so I wouldn't worry about that yet. Okay, format. Start off with high efficiency. Photo mode, 24 megapixels. You never know when you want good quality picture. Pro RAW and resolution control, yeah, turn that on. Again, in the camera, you can change things very easily. Default lossless. You probably can use this one if you really have storage shortage. Again, you'll need kind of a magnifying glass to see the difference. In my particular case, I'm going to start off with this. It gives you the size, that megabytes that you would get for photos. I want the best photos. Videos, I'm willing to compromise. So this is something you have to decide. And again, you can't go wrong. Either one will still give you good results. Apple ProRes video capture. I turn it on so I have the option, especially if I want to experiment. You have control of all this within the phone app, and you can set the defaults there later. Preserve settings. This is important. In most cases, this is turned on. I believe all of it is turned on by default, I think, if I recall right. At least, don't remember. So, you're basically taking control. whatever settings you use is the one it's going to use again. Okay? That's basically it. There are areas where you may want to turn off, like macro control. You may find that the iPhone will do a better job than you. So whatever area you're testing, try it on, try it off. Likewise with night mode. Let the iPhone determine if it's night and it makes changes. You don't have to remember to make the changes. I don't care for live photo, and I don't want to even see it, that option. So, but I kind of have it off. This is the area that's going to be quite critical when you want to gain control or give control to your phone. I'm not into burst photography, so I have it off. Every once in a while I gotta scan my QR code on the phone, or maybe even the text. So you definitely want perhaps to leave that on. Now, the grid, the level, the mirror front camera, the view outside, yeah, turn them on because it's great for framing. You don't want to take pictures on an angle. You want it level. You can really destroy beautiful pictures. True, you can go and edit and correct it, but then you're chopping off portions of your picture. And view outside the frames. Again, this is an area where some people like it, some people don't. It doesn't bother me. I know what I'm going to take or what I'm going to see when I take the picture is within that frame. But if something catches my eye on the side, let me just move the camera a little bit and catch that particular thing. It kind of balances the picture. Okay, trying to be a little bit quick on this. Additional lenses, 28 and 35. I try to shoot at 1x as much as possible. If I zoom in, I want to zoom in quickly to either 1.2 or 1.5. I don't want to use any zoom settings in between, like 1.1. It will give you a little bit better picture. So keep that in mind. I think the cropping seems to work the best when you switch to these different zoom lens, then zooming in between. Portraits in photo mode, yes, I do take close-up pictures. I don't want to give faster shooting. I'm not in a hurry. I want quality, not a whole bunch of pictures. Lens correction, yes, you want that on, especially when you're taking ultra-wide pictures. It'll fix that distortion look. It's something like, what do you call those other lenses? There's a setting where you can actually correct it. But yeah, lens correction. And then show control for automatically switching to the ultra-wide camera to capture micro photos and videos. I like to take macro pictures, especially like flowers or little interesting items. Not so much into insects. I know my better half loves to take mushroom pictures. She loves mushrooms. There you go. So, yeah, it's there. Lens cleaning, yeah, that's a nice feature. We probably forget about our lenses, and we take pictures and wondering why it's not as good anymore. Got a finger mark on there. I'm surprised how well it works despite the dirty lens. So yeah, this way I'll tell you. And follow the instructions on how to clean your lens. Now I have this turned off, lock screen swipe to open camera, and this is more of a security issue. If someone else has my phone and they know about this feature, they can swipe even though it's locked, get into my phone, and who knows what they'll do with it. Now, I'll turn this off. And I don't want to be looking all over the place where my pictures went, so I save it to the photo library where I can go in and delete if I want to delete or take a quick look at what was taken. Okay. Okay, I think I skipped one. So let me just, indicators. It's a small thing, but I should at least mention it. Basically, you want these features available in the camera if you want to use the flash or if you want to use live photo. In my case, I want it off. I guess I'm a big fan of live photo, right? Okay. Video. I'm not into action mode. I could turn that off if I want to, but I'll just leave it for now. So far it hasn't bothered me. But dual capture, that I kind of like. And it might be handy at times, especially when you're, camping, some sort of activity going on, and you want to be involved in the picture. So that's it. Okay, I think that basically covers the settings in the camera. The next big thing, of course, is the actual app itself. I'm gonna be testing it using the Apple camera. I'm gonna be testing using the Pro camera. I'm gonna be testing using the Final Cut camera, and of course Blackmagic. Some of it will be for just entertainment, just to experiment and learn, so I can determine to myself what settings I'm going to be happy with and going to leave all the time. This video is getting too long, so I'm going to stop, and when I start getting out there with my new camera recording, I'm going to demonstrate some of the features there that you can use to meet your needs. If you're an average photographer like me, it'll be perfect. If you're a professional, well, then I guess there'll be nothing new for you there. Okay. Until next time, again, it would be appreciated if you subscribe. Thumbs up would be great. It's a source of motivation for me to continue doing this. Otherwise, if there's not enough interest, I might as well close down shop. And we will be revisiting our other interests, so don't assume that this is going to be strictly all photography. It will be photography when I got something new. And that's same true with every aspect, RV camping, all the equipment we use, or may end up upgrading, ham radio equipment, settings, antenna, Victron, Blue Eddy. We got lots that we're doing. We're going to do a reno on our RV, things of that sort. Okay, until next time, thanks again, and it would be appreciated. I really enjoy some of the comments I've been receiving. Have a nice day. If you haven't done so, it would be appreciated. Please subscribe. And thank you for watching. Have a nice day.